First, my project is about a contemporary experimental film.
Okay.
So, what do you think about experimental film of today? So, what do you think? What is experimental film?
Generally, what do I think is experimental film? I think anything that breaks out of the conventions of typical filmmaking. So we're used to a Hollywood version of representation of filmmaking and a European version of filmmaking. So we know what to expect, I think, when we go to a cinema. So any film really that sort of breaks out of the usual and surprises an audience, for me, that's an experimental film.
So, do you think experimental film is always a short film? Short film?
Short film?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I mean, for me, like when The Diving Bell and the Butterfly came out, for example, it was so refreshing to see how that was shot.
So just
very experimental, really.
So just some film give some surprise to the audience.
Yeah,
so
I
that
think
is
so. Yeah, something that you've not seen before.
it maybe depends on the idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any special technology used in experimental film in the shooting part?
Probably not. Not so much in modern sort of technology. For me, like some of the interesting experimental stuff comes from old sort of film media and like what you can do in terms of like processing it, cross-processing it, pushing and pulling in terms of processing. I think for me, as a director of photography, I just try stuff out, play with things, play with light, how you can make light a character in its own way, and how just experiment with that, and how that can really change the feeling and the atmosphere of a piece.
So, what do you think is the technology in experimental film? The technology just is a method of expression, or it's or it's also can the idea of experimental film.
I think for me it's about the idea. It's about the concept. Yeah, definitely. I think that what the technology does is it gives you it enables you to try things out easier and quicker. But for me, it's always comes down to your concept and your idea. It has to be a good idea to begin with.
Okay, thank you. That's all.